Konnichiwa Mina, and here is Week 8 of the 2018 DCFL season. As we take a look at the standings after Week 7 right now, the Seattle Tenyo lead the league with that tiebreaker after giving the Indianapolis Rapid Stallions their first loss of the season. Their second place, and third seed is the Jacksonville Scouts, and the New York Gangsters are fourth at 4-3, which they have the tiebreaker over my Baltimore Charm. That's the Phoenix Devils, the Pittsburgh Power, and Chicago Staleys at 3-4. Then the Charlotte Bobcats at 2-5, and last place is still the winless Oakland Pillagers at 0-7. The top two seeds are way out of reach, but the two wild card spots pretty much are completely up for grabs by everyone still. So we now take a look at the schedule for Week 8 as we start off with a big one as the Indianapolis Rapid Stallions visit the Baltimore Charm, and then the Chicago Staleys visiting the Charlotte Bobcats, then the Jacksonville Scouts visiting the lowly Oakland Pillagers, then another big one for playoff implications, the Seattle Tenyo visiting the New York Gangsters, and then we finish off a game with another big game as the Phoenix Devils visit the Pittsburgh Power. So we start off the week with the Indianapolis Rapid Stallions visiting the Baltimore Charm. Indianapolis suffered their first loss of the season against Seattle. Meanwhile, my Charm, after starting off 0-2, have won 4 of their last 5, so we're off to a good start. Hoping to keep up, maybe knock down Indianapolis again, make them starting to worry about their season, and start to catch up with everyone else in the playoffs, or will Indianapolis get the victory to keep up their huge lead over everyone else in the division? And Indianapolis would get the victory 43-28, as with this victory, they now have the number 1 seed over Seattle for the moment, as unfortunately my Charm fall down to 4-4. Funny enough, Indianapolis only got 10 yards more offense than the Charm, and we had under 400 yards in total, but unfortunately for my Charm, Indianapolis' defense was swarming. 4 sacks, 2 interceptions, a forced fumble, and 2 defensive touchdowns. Yikes, no wonder all that momentum we had going into the second half disappeared completely as Indianapolis just ran away with the win, as they now lead the division, the conference for the moment, as my team struggles on at 500 still. After that, it's the Chicago Staleys visiting the Charlotte Bobcats. The Staleys still struggling after ending their 3-game losing streak. They started to lose again, as the Bobcats have now lost 2 in a row, I believe it was, as these teams trying to keep up with everyone else in the playoff bracket, especially Chicago, since they're only a game away from being tied up in the playoff bracket. And Chicago would walk away with the victory, barely 27-23 as they get back to 500. And they had to hold off of Charlotte comeback in the third quarter, but they managed to pull it off. They got almost 100 yards less than Charlotte, but their defense did all the work, an interception and a pick 6 too, which really helped out to save their game, although Charlotte's defense got a lot of pressure too. In the end, Chicago got the victory. They got back to 500, as Charlotte still remains the 9th seed in the bracket. Then we go out to Oakland, as the Oakland Pillagers host the Jacksonville Scouts. The Scouts have now won 3 in a row in dominant fashion as they're back into the playoff bracket, as they visit the lowly Oakland Pillagers, who have still yet to win a game. This game could be lopsided, but remember, Oakland, they've had a lot of close games, so you can't underestimate them either. And Jacksonville will squeak out the victory 27-21 as they won 4 in a row, as they were down 6-0 going into the second half, but then they scored 27 unanswered points and held off an Oakland rally to get the close victory, as Oakland now still remains winless. But hey, with this victory, Jacksonville secured their 3rd seed in the playoffs for another week, so good on them. And funny enough too, Oakland actually got more yards by almost 50 yards more than Jacksonville, but still wasn't enough to get the win. And then we get to the next big showdown in the playoff bracket, as the Seattle Tenyo visit the New York Gangsters. Seattle on a 4-game win streak right now. They have the 2nd seed, but if they win this game, they'll get back up to the number 1 seed. And New York trying to win to maintain their 4th seed in the playoff brackets. This game is huge implications right here. And Seattle would squeak out the victory 17-14 in overtime, as they scored 7-7 to the 4th quarter. They got a touchdown each. And take a look at this stats right here. New York got 200 yards more offense than Seattle, but thanks to 3 sacks, 2 interceptions, 2 forced fumbles, recovering 1, and a pick 6. Seattle was able to squeak out the victory as New York's defense, they allowed very little points, but they couldn't get no turnover, whereas Seattle's defense did it. So what a stunning victory that was for Seattle. As with that victory, they maintain their #1 seed in the playoffs now, as New York's got to watch out for that tiebreaker with one more game remaining this week. And now we finally finish off the final game as the Phoenix Devils visit the Pittsburgh Power. The Devils, after starting off that unbelievable 3-0 start, they've now lost 4 in a row, and you gotta wonder if they're finally coming back to earth, as the Power have been inconsistent this year, but they're still somehow around 500, as one of these teams are going to be at 500 unless they tie, and being a tiebreaker maybe to get back into the playoff bracket. And Phoenix finally ended the bleeding as they got back to 500 with they win 31-24. They win up 31 unanswered points, but then all of a sudden Pittsburgh came back and surged with just 2 minutes remaining to tie it and get within a score, but they couldn't get the onside kick as Phoenix barely holds off the victory right there in that huge rally as they get the 4-4 as the Power fall off now to 3-5. And we now take a look at the schedule after this week ended. Of course, Seattle still remains #1. Indianapolis still remains #2. Jacksonville still remains #3. And how about this? Chicago, with their win and the tiebreakers over these 4 teams, managed to get back into the playoff bracket, with New York, Baltimore, and Phoenix being the ones left out. The Power remain on their own at #8. Then the Charlotte Bobcats still at #9. And last place still remains Oakland, as they still remain winless. As the Indianapolis Rapid Stallions still have the #1 offense, and the Seattle Tenyo still have the #1 defense. And the Scouts still have the best point differential in the league with +83. And Oakland has the worst with -120. And we finish it off by taking a look at the Week 9 schedule, as this will mark the halfway part of the season and the first half of the schedule before it flips back to what it was before, just swap the teams around, as it'll be the Baltimore Charm visiting the Jacksonville Scouts. That's going to have playoff implications. Then the Charlotte Bobcats visit the Phoenix Devils. Then the Oakland Pillagers visit the Chicago Staleys. Then another game with playoff implications. The New York Gangsters visit the Indianapolis Rapid Stallions. And we finish off the week with the Pittsburgh Power visiting the Seattle Tenyo. And with that, Week 8 is in the books. I cannot wait for Week 9, as we're getting close to the halfway part of the season and starting to wonder about playoff implications, because that's going to be coming very soon. So see you soon for Week 9.